What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Hero Report. Welcome back to a brand new video where we talk all things Miami Heat basketball. In today's video, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest needs for the Heat this offseason, and that is the addition of a traditional point guard. Now, before we get into the video, though, make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. All that good stuff, man. If you guys did not catch it in the last video, I do want to reiterate that I will be out of town. I'm pretty sure I'm currently out of town as this video is being published. So the videos might not be as consistent for the next week, but once I get back, I will be getting back on my grind. So hopefully you guys understand that. You guys are getting a video right now, though, and this is the video that is explaining the Heat's need for a point guard. We are just about over 900, which is a really big accomplishment. We are very close to 1,000, so make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new as always, turn on your post notifications, and use that comment section for any video suggestions, ideas, anything like that, constructive criticism. All that stuff is welcome. So make sure y'all use the comment section as frequently as you guys can, and hopefully you guys are just excited as I am when we get to 1K. Let's get into the video, though. So the Miami Heat have a lot of needs to address in the offseason after a disappointing first round exit versus the Milwaukee Bucks, who are currently down 1-0 in the finals as I'm recording this video. The Miami Heat obviously need a lot of things, but I think the main thing that they need, which I don't really think I went too much into depth, is a point guard. Now, I do think that there's a lot of good point guards on the market. Obviously not generational point guards, but there are very good point guards on the market as far as free agency is concerned. But you can also trade for a point guard that can be amazing, like a Damian Lillard type player if you want to as well. So I think the point guard market is thriving right now in the NBA, and I think this free agency you have names such as Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul, Mike Conley, Lonzo Ball, etc., who can all come into a team and contribute right away. I want to be going through a lot of names like that. I'm going to be going through pros and cons of signing each one of these players. We'll start off with Kyle Lowry because he's the guy that's probably been linked to the Heat the most out of all these players. He's a guy that's been, I think he's Jimmy Butler's one of his best friends. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I can fact check this or not, but I'm pretty sure he is a godfather to one of Jimmy Butler's kids, or the other way around. So they're very close. We know they're very close, and obviously Kyle Lowry, since he's very close to Jimmy Butler, there's been a lot of rumors of Kyle Lowry and Jimmy playing together, and he's not only a very close friend of Jimmy Butler, he's a very talented NBA player. He's going to want a lot of money, though, and that's the only drawback of signing a Kyle Lowry. He's going to want at least $25 to $30 million per year, and that is coming out of multiple sources out of Toronto, out of some more sources closer to Kyle Lowry, that he will want at least $25 million and up to $30 million at most to sign him for a 2 or 3 year deal. And that is the only risk on a guy who's 36 years old. He's not really getting any better, and he's shown some signs of injury last season, and it's only a matter of time before he starts to regress. And do you want to take a chance on that? Now, I personally, do not fancy the idea of paying Kyle Lowry this much money, but for our situation, it's a very different case because we are a win-now team. We're trying to win now. Kyle Lowry is a player that can help us do that. He's a very talented NBA player. He's an all-star caliber player on his day. Some days he can even become the best player on the court in certain games. So if paying Kyle Lowry $30 million a year or $25 million a year gets us a championship, I don't have a problem with doing that because, we're not thinking about the long term right now. We're thinking about the next couple of years with Jimmy Butler as our main guy. Like, Jimmy Butler he's about to turn 32 if I'm not mistaken. So he's not getting any younger either. So we do have to transition to a win now team. A lot of these young guys that we've been trying to develop, some of them might have to go. We'll get to that in potential trades. But as far as signing Kyle Lowry as a free agent, I would love it for the team because I think it would make us better. But I would do $25 million, but not 30. I would not pay him $30 million. $25 million, that is a lot of money. But I don't really think we have any other choice but to sign him for $25 million because he's gonna want 25, and I don't think we can pass up on that because if another team gets him, like a lot of these teams like Brooklyn, they got James Harden. They're going to be a very unstoppable team to beat. We have to try to get better as well. Last season, I think everybody around us got better in the offseason, and we didn't really get better. In fact, we probably even got worse. we have to get better, and Kyle Lowry makes us a better team. Now, the addition of a point guard, before I transition to the next player, because you guys might be wondering, why do we need a point guard so much? Like, what is a point guard going to do for this team? The number one thing a point guard is going to do for this team is elevate Bam's production. Bam Adebayo, a lot of people might give up on him and say he's this, he's that, he's whatever after that one bad series, his first bad blip as a star in his career, which everyone goes through. No one is perfect unless you're like Jordan or LeBron, and even they had flaws. Like LeBron in 2011 was not himself. So Bam will get through whatever he had in the first round against the Bucks. But this man has been averaging 19 to 20 points per game by having one guy on his team as his facilitator. Because the two main facilitators on this team are Bam and Jimmy. So Bam has been averaging almost about 20 points per game with one guy as his main facilitator. Kanan is not a facilitator. Duncan is not a facilitator. Ariza is not a facilitator. Off the bench, Goran is probably the closest thing to a facilitator, but he's not like a pass-first guy. Sometimes he can get a lot of assists. I know he's 4th all-time in Heat assists or something like that. So he is a facilitator, but he's also off the bench, so he's playing limited minutes. He did not play in a lot of these games. So we need a facilitator on this team. We need a guy who's going to get his teammates involved. Kyle Lowry is not like a go-to facilitator. He's not like a Rondo or someone like that, but he's still a guy that loves to find his teammates. He's a very high IQ player. He will get his teammates the ball. He knows when to pass to his teammates. And this is one thing. Look at what Chris Paul did for DeAndre Ayton's development. Look at what he did for his development. In these playoffs, he's been going crazy because he's being spoon-fed by Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Bam Adebayo, I don't care what anyone says, he's undoubtedly a better player than DeAndre Ayton as far as talent is concerned. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton's having a better playoffs, but as far as talent, I'm taking Bam Adebayo over DeAndre Ayton any day of the week. And he's only being spoon-fed by one person, right? Kyle Lowry to this team adds another dimension. He adds another facilitator. He adds another guy that can, get Bam the ball, and Bam can go to work. Bam does not have to be a facilitator if we get a point guard. Bam can go to work. All these dribble handoffs, which we saw in the playoffs, are not sustainable when a team is shutting off the three-point line. Bam can go to work if he gets a point guard. He doesn't have to do spam dribble handoffs at the top of the key. He can get in his bag like we saw in the workout videos, and he can do his thing. So not only Kyle Lowry, but any point guard who has an ounce of facilitating will be a very good addition to the team. So Kyle Lowry is number one. The guy he's not number one on my list, but he's the number one target for the Heat. If I'm not mistaken, they've been wanting Kyle Lowry for a while now. Then we're gonna go on to another guy in free agency, Mike Conley, whose name hasn't been going around as much because it has come out that the Jazz are going to do everything they can to keep him. I don't think Mike Conley will go. I think Mike Conley will re-sign, but there is a chance we might get him. I think Mike Conley will be a great addition, like a Kyle Lowry. They're very similar as far as age. Mike Conley was an all-star this year. He's a very good defender, like Kyle Lowry. He was one of the leaders in defensive rating this year. And yeah, he's had a great impact on the Jazz team. Last year, if you watch the Jazz, they were probably like 4 or 5 seed, if I'm not mistaken. And Mike Conley was not playing up to his potential whatsoever. He was having a very bad first season to his standards. This year, he's turned it on, and the Jazz have become the 1 seed. I don't think there's any other thing you have to look at besides Mike Conley upping his game and becoming the player that we thought the Jazz were going to get when they got Mike Conley. So Mike Conley, like Kyle Lowry, will be a great addition to this team. I don't think he's going to want $30 million either. He's probably going to want 20, 25, so he might even be cheaper than Kyle Lowry. So I wouldn't mind any of these two players. Obviously, they're on the older side, but we don't need younger players on this team. We need guys who are ready to win now, not guys who need to be developed and nurtured for years down the line, because our best player is 32, about to be 32. So Mike Conley, wouldn't mind him either. Those are the two main free agency players. Chris Paul is another guy, but I think Chris Paul is if the Phoenix Suns win a championship, which I think they will, Chris Paul I don't think is going anywhere. If he goes somewhere, it might be I think it might be New York. I don't think he's going to go to Miami. But yeah, I don't know if Jimmy and Chris Paul have that great of a relationship after what happened. I don't know if you guys remember in the bubble, Chris Paul was talking to Duncan Robinson. He was talking trash and he threw the ball off him, and Jimmy Butler just trucked him. So I don't know what their relationship is looking like. I would love Chris Paul on this team, obviously. He's gonna want a lot of money though. He has a $44 million player option. I think he'd be crazy not to take it. If he doesn't take it, it's probably to accommodate some of these players on the Suns, and for him to re-sign back on a smaller deal. But if he's going anywhere else, he's gonna want a ton of money, and I don't think Chris Paul will come to the Heat anytime soon. I think that ship has sailed. We could have traded for Chris Paul in the past, if I'm not mistaken, a couple years ago, but yeah, I don't think Chris Paul will be on the Miami Heat. So we can forget about him, but I think him and Jimmy are actually very similar. Like as far as persona, leadership, IQ, him and Jimmy are almost, because if you hear teammates like JJ Redick and even like a Jay Crowder, people who played with both of these players, they find Chris Paul and Jimmy, like even Jamal Crawford was talking about this too, like they're very similar. So they might butt heads in the locker room. But we don't know. Chris Paul, I would love him on the team. I just don't think he's going to come here. Those are the top 3 point guard free agents, but there's also players like Lonzo Ball who I would not mind whatsoever. A lot of people like the idea of Lonzo Ball because he's younger. He's only going to want probably $20 million. He's not going to want more than that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Lonzo's going to be asking for that much money. I think Lonzo would be a great fit for this team, man. I really do. He's defensive minded. He's a very good defender. I would even go as far as to say he's an elite defender for his position. He's a very good facilitator, and those two things are what we need in a point guard right now. He's not as great of a scorer. He's not a guy that you can put in the ball in his hands, and occasionally he can, but he's not a guy that you consistently give it to like a Kyle Lowry or a Mike Conley or a Chris Paul. He's not a guy who's going to break down a defense and score. He's going to break down a defense and pass, or he's going to spot up. And I think the spotting up is because he was playing under Stan Van Gundy. A lot of people are saying that Lonzo Ball would not fit on this team because he's a catch and shoot player. He was only a catch and shoot player last year because he was playing in an offense that made him be a catch and shoot player. That offense was terrible by the Pelicans, which is why they were a mess. They drafted a point guard, Kyra Lewis, when they had Lonzo and Eric Bledsoe. They played Lonzo and Eric Bledsoe together when they were both point guards. None of them have ever been shooting guards apart from last year, when they had a shooter in JJ Redick who helps with their spacing coming off the bench. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. So there's the myth that Lonzo Ball is only a catch and shoot player is a myth. He's not. His 3-point percentage has improved. I will give Stan Van Gundy that, because he's gained a lot more confidence with his shot. He can shoot the 3 for sure. But his main attributes, even coming into the draft, were his facilitating and his defense. Scoring the ball, we always knew that was secondary. If he could score the ball, that's where you saw the Jason Kidd comparisons. And I still think that he has, good potential. I just don't know if he's going to become that 3-level scorer that everyone thought he could become. So the scoring is questionable, but he's always going to have facilitating and defense, and he can definitely shoot the 3. As we saw last year, he's been one of the better 3-point shooters last year, because he's gained a lot more confidence in that shot. But that's the only thing I'll give credit to Stan Van Gundy for, because they have ruined my man's development in every other category. So Lonzo Ball, I would love on the team. I would be very happy with Lonzo Ball. And Lonzo would definitely he would definitely spoon feed Bam for sure. I'm pretty sure Lonzo and Bam played against each other in high school as well, so there is a connection there. So Lonzo, I would love. As far as trade pieces, the 2 main players are Damian Lillard and Colin Sexton. Now, I did see some Kevin Love talking about Bam, saying, kind of just saying that he's been a great admirer of Bam's game and his growth and all that stuff. It's also come out that if Kevin Love requests a buyout, then the Heat would be a destination that he would want to go to. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen. Like, I don't know how likely the chances of him getting a buyout are. But if it's for free, I would not mind Kevin Love on the team. But this is not a power forward show. This is a point guard show. So we'll not talk about Kevin Love right now. We'll talk about Colin Sexton. I don't mind Colin Sexton on the team. Obviously coming into the draft, he was not like a playmaking guy. but I do think he has improved his vision. He has improved his playmaking, so he would not be bad. He's on ball. I think he's a great defender. Not great. He's a good defender on the ball. Off the ball, he does have some sometimes where he does fall asleep. He can definitely score the ball though. I think out of all the point guards I just named, apart from Damian Lillard, Colin Sexton is probably the best scorer of the ball. And we definitely need someone to put the ball in the basket as well. So I think he might be a guy that might be perfect to trade for because he can facilitate. He's shown signs of improvement in that. He's a good defender on the ball, and he can definitely score the ball. He's a very good scorer. So I would like Colin Sexton on the team. I think he's a very good option. Damian Lillard, I don't really need to speak for Damian Lillard. I think everyone knows it would be an absolute dream if we can get Damian Lillard. But like I said, I don't know if the Portland Trailblazers will accept any trade with dealing with Damian Lillard if it does not include Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo. I think we're going to have to, and let me clear this up because a lot of people on one of the videos thought I was saying we should trade Bam for Dame. Straight up, we can have a discussion, but this is not for straight up. This is for the future and for the now and for this year to win a championship. With Jimmy Butler and Dame, we're not winning a championship. So I would not trade Bam for Dame. I would not trade Jimmy for Dame. It would have to be Tyler, Precious, KZ, picks, all the young assets we have, probably some big contracts like Goran or Andre, and then there's your deal. Because because we're not trading you Jimmy and we're not trading you Bam, no way. Dame, he's a great player. He's a phenomenal player, but I don't think Jimmy and Dame or Bam and Dame is winning as a championship. I think it has to be all three. And I think if we get Dame somehow, if Pat Riley finesses Dame without giving up Bam and Jimmy, man, we're in for a wild ride, man. That's gonna be crazy. So, yeah, man, I would absolutely love Damian Lillard on the team. I would love all these options on the team. Realistically, this is my prediction. I think Damian Lillard will stay with the Blazers. I think Mike Conley will stay with the Jazz. I think Chris Paul will stay with the Suns. I think Kyle Lowry will go to the Sixers. I think the Miami Heat will end up with Colin Sexton and Kevin Love in a trade. That's my prediction. Let me know what your predictions are down in the comments section below, man. I'll see you guys later as always. Make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe. Let me know what y'all thought about this video. I'll see y'all later as always, man. Peace.